The crystal chains burned against Sarah's wrists as the guards forced her to her knees before the high throne of Ethelmore. Every eye in the court of eternal stars turned toward her, and the whispers began like a rising storm. Sarah of the low-born quarters, you stand accused of possessing a relic of the ancient bloodlines. High Chancellor Dravane's voice echoed through the obsidian hall. A crime punishable by exile to the mortal realm, where your fey essence will wither and die within a mortal's lifespan. Sarah kept her eyes on the floor, her dark hair falling forward to hide the terror she knew showed on her face. The relic, a small silver pendant shaped like a crescent moon, hung from a chain around Dravane's withered fingers, catching the ethereal light of the court. She had found it in her mother's belongings after her death 3 months ago. Nothing more. She hadn't known it was forbidden. She hadn't known it would mark her as something dangerous.
"Do you deny that this was found in your possession?" Dravane demanded.
"I don't deny it, Chancellor," Sarah whispered. "But I didn't know what it was. My mother left it to me. I swear on the stars I meant no harm." "Your mother," a sharp female voice cut through the hall. Lady Selendriel, the king's own sister, stepped forward from the line of nobility, her silver gown shimmering like moonlight on water. "A common seamstress, who likely stole this from her betters, and now her half-breed daughter thinks to claim it as inheritance?" The word half-breed sent a ripple of gasps through the court. Sarah's hands clenched into fists. She wasn't half-mortal. Her mother had been full-blooded fae, minor nobility from a fallen house, but fae nonetheless. The accusation was designed to humiliate her, to make her exile seem justified. "I am not half-mortal," Sarah said, lifting her chin for the first time. "My mother was Celestine of House Moonshadow, and I have every right to what was hers." The silence that followed was absolute. Then Dravane laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "House Moonshadow? That bloodline died out 2 centuries ago, girl. There are no survivors. You speak lies to save yourself from justice." "It's not a lie! I can prove it! Let me take the bloodline test. If I fail, I'll accept exile without protest." Sarah didn't know what made her say it. The bloodline test was ancient magic, requiring a drop of blood on the sacred stone that would reveal one's true heritage. If she truly had no noble blood, the stone would reject her violently, possibly killing her. But something deep in her bones told her to fight, to refuse the shame they were heaping upon her. Dravane's eyes narrowed. "Very well. Let the whelp take the test. When she fails, her exile will be witnessed by all, and none will question our judgment." The guards hauled her to her feet and dragged her toward the center of the hall, where a massive opal stone rested on a pillar of white marble. The Bloodstone of Ethelmore, older than the kingdom itself. Sarah had never been this close to it before. Servants like her were never permitted near the sacred relics. As they pulled her forward, she had to pass through the gathered nobility, and that was when she saw them. 5 princes stood in a line near the king's dais, each one a vision of otherworldly beauty and power. She recognized them from the whispered stories among the servants. Prince William of the Northern Realms, dark-haired and severe, his silver eyes like winter ice. Prince Thaddeus of the Starwood, golden and radiant as summer dawn. Prince Corin of the Shadowfen, pale and ethereal as mist. Prince Lysander of the Crystal Peaks, auburn-haired and intense. Prince Gavril of the Twilight Coast, black-haired and dangerous as a storm at sea. They were visiting for the summit of the 5 kingdoms, here to negotiate trade and magical alliances. Sarah had glimpsed them only once before, from a distance as she delivered linens to the guest quarters. Now she walked past them in chains, in shame, accused of theft and deception. She kept her eyes down, but she felt the moment their gazes locked onto her. The air itself seemed to shimmer and crack. A sensation like lightning struck her chest, stealing her breath. Her knees buckled, but the guards held her upright and kept dragging her forward. Behind her, she heard a sharp intake of breath, then another, and another. "By the ancient stars," someone whispered. Prince William took a step forward, his hand going to the ceremonial sword at his hip. His silver eyes had gone wide, fixed on Sarah with an intensity that made her skin prickle with heat. A faint golden glow began to emanate from his chest, visible even through his dark tunic. Prince Thaddeus moved beside him, the same golden light beginning to shine from his own chest.
"It cannot be. What is happening?" Lady Selendriel demanded,
but her voice sounded distant to Sarah's ears. The pull toward the 5 princes was overwhelming. Every instinct screamed at her to turn around, to go to them. But the guards forced her onward until she stood before the Bloodstone. "Silence!" King Arcturus rose from his throne, his ancient power rolling through the hall like a tide. "The test will proceed. Place your hand upon the stone, girl, and let truth be revealed." Sarah's hand shook as she reached out. The moment her palm touched the opal surface, pain exploded through her body. She screamed as light erupted from the stone, not the gentle glow of accepted bloodlines, but a violent surge of silver and gold that shot toward the vaulted ceiling. The chains on her wrists shattered, the metal turning to dust. The light showed images, memories not her own. A woman with Sarah's face wearing a crown of stars, standing beside a king in armor that gleamed like the moon. A bloodline stretching back not centuries, but millennia. House Moonshadow had not died out. It had been hidden, forced into obscurity by enemies who feared its power. Sarah was not minor nobility. She was the last living heir of the first house, the bloodline from which all Elven kings were descended. The revelation hit the court like a physical blow. Nobles stumbled backward. Lady Selendriel's face went white as fresh snow. High Chancellor Dravane actually fell to his knees, his mouth opening and closing without sound. And the 5 princes surged forward as one. "She is mine," Prince William's voice rang out, hard as steel. "The bond chose her for me. I felt it the moment she drew near." "You felt nothing that I did not also feel, Northern Prince," Prince Thaddeus shot back, his hand on his own sword now. "The soul bond blazes in my chest like the sun itself. She is meant for Starwood." "Meant for Shadowfen," Prince Corin corrected, his misty eyes locked on Sarah with predatory focus. "I would kill any who try to take her from me." "Then you would have to kill all of us," Prince Lysander said, stepping between Sarah and the others, "because I will not yield my claim." Prince Gavril said nothing, but the storm magic crackling around his fists spoke volumes. Sarah stood frozen in the aftermath of the Bloodstone's revelation, her entire body trembling. The soul bond. She had read about it in old texts, the rarest magic in existence, a connection between 2 souls that transcended choice or reason. It happened once in 1,000 years, if that. And somehow, impossibly, it had happened with all 5 of them. "This is impossible," she breathed. "The bond only forms between 2 people. It cannot split 5 ways." "Unless..." King Arcturus's voice cut through the rising chaos, and every person in the hall fell silent. The old king descended from his throne, his robes trailing behind him like shadows. He approached Sarah slowly, studying her with eyes that had seen the rise and fall of empires. Unless the one bearing the mark carries the blood of the first queen herself. Legend says she was bonded to the 5 guardians who protected the realm in the Age of Darkness. That bond was never meant to be replicated. But if her direct descendant were to walk among us... The prophecy, High Chancellor Dravane whispered, still on his knees. The lost heir of the first house will return when the realm faces its greatest threat, and the 5 guardians will be reborn to stand at her side. Prophecies are children's tales, Lady Selendriel snapped, but her voice held an edge of fear. She is a servant girl who happened to possess a stolen relic. The Bloodstone must be malfunctioning. The Bloodstone does not malfunction, Lady Selendriel, King Arcturus said, his gaze never leaving Sarah. And if you were not my sister, I would have you thrown in chains for attempting to exile the true heir to the crystal throne. Sarah's legs finally gave out, and she collapsed to the marble floor. The crystal throne. The first house had ruled from the crystal throne before the kingdom split into 5 separate realms. Before the wars. Before the fall. She was supposed to be a seamstress. She was supposed to be no one. Easy, a deep voice said, and strong hands caught her before she could hit the ground. Prince William knelt beside her, his silver eyes blazing with the light of the bond. This close, she could see the golden thread of magic that connected them, shimmering in the air between their chests like a living thing. His jaw was clenched, his entire body rigid with the effort of not pulling her against him immediately. I can feel what you feel, he said quietly. Your fear, your confusion. The bond will not let me ignore it. I don't understand any of this, Sarah whispered. Then I will help you understand. His hand came up to cup her face, and the touch sent fire racing through her veins. You are mine to protect now. All of you. Your fears, your questions, your throne. Mine. Remove your hands from her, William, or lose them. Prince Thaddeus grabbed William's shoulder and hauled him back with surprising strength. She bears my mark as much as yours. You have no exclusive claim. The golden light flared between Sarah and all 5 princes now, undeniable and absolute. She could feel them in her chest, in her bones, each one distinct. William's fierce protectiveness, Thaddeus's bright intensity, Corin's dark hunger, Lysander's steady strength, Gavril's wild passion. The bond pulled her toward all of them with equal force, a connection that defied logic and tradition. Enough! King Arcturus's voice boomed through the hall. The bonds have chosen, but Sarah of House Moonshadow must choose as well. She cannot take all 5 of you as consorts. Such a thing has never been done in the history of our people. I don't want to choose, Sarah said, pushing herself to her feet. The princes moved with her, all 5 of them positioning themselves around her like a guard. I don't even know how to be what you're saying I am. Yesterday, I was mending dresses in the servants' quarters. Today, you're telling me I'm supposed to rule a kingdom that doesn't exist anymore? Perhaps this is all unnecessary, Lady Selendriel said, her voice honey-sweet now. Clearly, the girl is overwhelmed. Why not allow her time to adjust to her new station before forcing her into a political marriage? Let her train in courtly ways, learn her heritage. The choice of consort can wait. You want her to. Wait so you can poison her or arrange an accident, Prince Corin said flatly. I can smell your malice from here, lady. Your fear that she will displace your own ambitions. Lady Selendriel's carefully composed face cracked, fury flashing in her eyes. "How dare you accuse me?" "You thought you would be queen," Prince Lysander interrupted, his auburn eyes fixed on her. "King Arcturus has no heir, and you are his only living relative. You have been positioning yourself to take the throne for decades, and now this lost girl appears and threatens everything you have built." The truth of it hung in the air like a blade. "She is a pretender," Lady Selendriel snarled, all pretense of civility gone. "That relic was planted on her. The Bloodstone was tampered with. I will not stand here and watch a servant destroy everything I have worked for." She raised her hand, and dark magic gathered in her palm, shadows coiling like serpents. The attack launched toward Sarah with deadly speed. Sarah didn't have time to scream, but the 5 princes moved as one entity, their combined power erupting in a shield of pure light that shattered Selendriel's magic before it could reach its target. The backlash sent the lady flying backward, crashing into a pillar with a sickening crack. The bond blazed between Sarah and the princes, stronger now, fed by their shared instinct to protect her. She could feel their rage, their fear for her safety, their absolute refusal to let harm come to her. It was overwhelming and terrifying and beautiful all at once. "You dare attack the heir in open court?" King Arcturus's power flooded the hall, pressing down on everyone like a physical weight. "Guards, take my sister to the dungeons. She will await trial for attempted murder." As guards rushed forward to seize the dazed and bleeding Lady Selendriel, the king turned to Sarah. His expression was unreadable, but there was something like sadness in his ancient eyes. "I owe you an apology, child," he said. "Your mother came to me 20 years ago begging for protection. She told me she was the last of House Moonshadow, that she feared for her life and the life of her unborn daughter. I did not believe her. I thought her mad or seeking attention. I turned her away." Sarah's breath caught. "She tried to tell you? She tried to protect me?" "She did. And I failed her. I failed you both." The king bowed his head, a gesture of respect that shocked every noble in the room. "I cannot undo my mistake, but I can offer you what is rightfully yours. The crystal throne has been empty for too long. The 5 kingdoms have been divided for too long. If you will accept it, I will step down and recognize you as the true queen of Ethelmore and the rightful heir to reunite the realms." The weight of it nearly crushed her. Queen, ruler of kingdoms, uniter of realms. She was 23 years old. She had never even left the capital city. "I can't! I don't know how!" "You will not be alone." Prince William stepped closer, his hand finding hers. The contact sent warmth flooding through the bond, steadying her racing heart. "The bond has chosen us to stand with you. We will teach you, guide you, protect you." "Starwood's resources are yours," Prince Thaddeus said, moving to her other side. "My kingdom's libraries hold knowledge of the ancient ways. Everything you need to learn, we have preserved." "Shadowfen spies are the best in all the realms," Prince Corin added. "No threat will reach you unseen, I swear it." "The Crystal Peaks will provide magical training," Prince Lysander said. "Your power is raw, untested. I will help you master it." "And Twilight Coast's armies are yours to command," Prince Gavril finally spoke, his voice like distant thunder. "Any who threaten you will face the full might of the Storm Legions." Sarah looked at each of them in turn, these 5 powerful princes who had been strangers an hour ago and now felt like extensions of her own soul. The bond hummed between them, growing stronger with every moment, every touch, every word of devotion. "This is insane," she whispered. "This morning I was worried about finishing the Lady Cordelia's ball gown on time. Now you're asking me to be a queen and telling me I have 5 soulmates?" "Life rarely asks permission before changing everything," Prince William said, and there was the ghost of a smile on his severe face. "But we have an eternity to figure it out together." "Eternity?" "The soul bond grants immortality to those it connects," King Arcturus said. "You 5 princes were already immortal by blood, but Sarah, your mortal years are behind you now. The bond has transformed you into what you were always meant to be." Immortal. The word echoed in her mind, too vast to comprehend. She would live forever, bound to these 5 males, destined to rule kingdoms she had never seen. I need a moment, please. This is too much." "Of course," Prince Thaddeus said immediately. "We will have chambers prepared for you in the royal wing. Rest. Process. We will not push you." But as Sarah turned to leave, escorted by guards who now bowed to her instead of restraining her, a commotion erupted near the dungeon's entrance. Lady Selendriel, being dragged away in chains, suddenly screamed words in an ancient tongue. Dark magic exploded outward, and the guards holding her disintegrated to ash. "If I cannot rule, neither will you, pretender!" Selendriel's form began to change, growing larger, darker, her fey beauty twisting into something monstrous. She had been hiding her true nature all along, not fey at all, but an ancient shadow demon who had been possessing the real Lady Selendriel for decades, waiting for the chance to seize the throne. "This realm will fall to darkness, and I will feast on the ashes." The demon lunged toward Sarah with impossible speed, claws extended, death in its burning eyes. The 5 princes moved faster. Their combined magic erupted in a blast of pure elemental power. William's ice met Thaddeus's light, Corin's shadows wove with Lysander's crystal, and Gavril's lightning bound them all together. The magic flowed through the soul bond, amplified by their connection to Sarah, by their desperate need to protect her. The demon's scream shook the foundations of the palace as the magic consumed it, burning away the darkness until nothing remained but smoke and silence. Sarah stood frozen, watching the 5 princes lower their hands in perfect synchronization. They had moved as one being, their magic perfectly balanced, impossibly coordinated. Because of the bond. Because of her. "The legends were true," King Arcturus breathed. "The 5 guardians reborn, and the heir who unites them." Prince William turned to Sarah, his chest still heaving from the exertion of magic. The bond between them blazed like starlight, and she could feel his need to touch her, to reassure himself that she was safe. "Never again," he said. "I will never let anything threaten you again." "None of us will," Prince Thaddeus added. Sarah looked at these 5 powerful males, these princes who had just destroyed an ancient demon to protect her, who were bound to her by magic and fate and destiny. The fear began to recede, replaced by something else, something like certainty. "I'll do it," she said. "I'll take the throne. I'll try to unite the kingdoms. But I need all of you. I won't choose between you. If that's not acceptable, if it breaks every tradition, I don't care. The bond chose us, all 6 of us. I won't deny what I can feel in my very soul." The silence that followed was absolute. Then King Arcturus began to laugh, a sound of pure joy that rang through the hall like bells. "Then let every tradition shatter! The old ways brought us division and war. Perhaps new ways will bring us peace and unity. I will stand as your consort, if you will have me," Prince William said, dropping to one knee before her. "I will give you the northern realms, my sword, my magic, and every breath I take until the stars go dark." One by one, the other princes knelt as well. "Starwood and all its knowledge is yours," Prince Thaddeus said. "Shadowfen's secrets and shadows serve you alone," Prince Corin vowed. "The Crystal Peak's magic bows to no one but you," Prince Lysander declared. "Twilight Coast storms will rage in your defense until the sea runs dry," Prince Gavril swore. Sarah felt tears streaming down her face as she looked at them. These 5 extraordinary males who had been strangers this morning and were now offering her everything. The bond surged with emotion, not just hers, but theirs as well. Love, devotion, fierce protectiveness, and an absolute certainty that they had found what they were always meant to find. "Then I accept," she whispered. "I accept all of you. Your kingdoms, your magic, your protection. And I offer you mine in return. My heart, my soul, my throne. Everything I am or will ever be." The bond exploded with golden light, so bright that everyone in the hall had to shield their eyes. When it faded, marks had appeared on Sarah's skin. 5 interlocking symbols, one for each prince, glowing with soft luminescence over her heart. And on each prince's chest, a single mark that matched hers exactly. The claiming was complete. The bond was sealed. "Then let it be witnessed by all present," King Arcturus declared, his voice ringing with power and authority. "Sarah of House Moonshadow is recognized as the true heir to the Crystal Throne, Queen of the United Realms, and consort bonded to the 5 princes who will serve as her guardians and co-rulers. Let any who challenge this be prepared to face not 1 kingdom's wrath, but 6. The court erupted in cheers and applause, though Sarah barely heard it. Prince William rose and pulled her into his arms, and the rightness of it sang through every fiber of her being. The other princes surrounded them, their hands finding her shoulders, her waist, her hands, creating a circle of protection and devotion that nothing could penetrate. "Are you certain?" Prince Thaddeus asked, his golden eyes searching hers. "This path will not be easy. There will be those who oppose a queen with 5 consorts, who will call it unnatural or dangerous." "Let them try," Sarah said, surprised by the steel in her own voice. "I've spent my whole life being underestimated, overlooked, told I was less than I am. I'm done with that. If the bond chose us, there's a reason, and I intend to find out what it is." "There is the queen we've been waiting for," Prince William said, and kissed her forehead with such tenderness that her breath caught. The next weeks passed in a blur of preparation and revelation. Sarah moved from the servants' quarters to the royal wing, though she insisted on keeping her small collection of sewing supplies. The 5 princes stayed close, taking turns teaching her about courtly protocol, magical theory, political strategy, and combat training. Through the bond, they could share knowledge and skill, each one contributing their expertise until Sarah found herself learning at an impossible rate. William taught her the art of strategic thinking and sword work. Thaddeus shared his vast knowledge of history and diplomacy. Corin trained her in stealth and information gathering. Lysander guided her awakening magical abilities. Gavril showed her how to command and inspire loyalty. But more than that, they showed her what it meant to be loved completely by 5 souls who saw her worth when the rest of the world had seen only a servant. The coronation took place 1 month after the Bloodstone's revelation. Representatives from all 5 kingdoms crowded into the grand cathedral, along with every noble house in Aethelmore. Sarah stood before the altar in a gown of silver and white, her dark hair crowned with the ancient diadem of the first queen, the very crown her ancestor had worn millennia ago. The 5 princes stood at her sides, dressed in the formal regalia of their kingdoms, their soul bond marks visible and glowing over their hearts. King Arcturus himself placed the crown upon her head. "I crown you, Sarah, first of her name, Queen of the United Realms, heir to the crystal throne, and bearer of the 5 bonds," he proclaimed. "May your reign bring the peace and unity our ancestors could not achieve." Sarah rose from her knees and turned to face her people. The bond blazed within her, filling her with strength and certainty. She was no longer the frightened servant girl who had knelt in chains before this very court. She was a queen. She was bonded to 5 extraordinary males. She was exactly who she was meant to be. "I accept this crown, not as a burden, but as a sacred duty," she said, her voice carrying to every corner of the cathedral. "For too long, our people have been divided. For too long, old grudges and ancient wars have kept us apart. Today, that ends. Today, the 5 kingdoms become one realm again, united not by conquest, but by choice, united by the bonds of magic and the bonds of the heart." She reached out her hands, and the 5 princes took them, their magic flowing together through the soul bond until golden light filled the entire cathedral. The crowd gasped as the light spread outward, flowing through the doors and windows, racing across the land like a wave. Everywhere it touched, old wounds healed, ancient barriers between kingdoms dissolved. The magic that had been fragmented for centuries became whole again. The prophecy was fulfilled. The lost heir had returned. The 5 guardians stood at her side, and the realm was united at last. "Thank you," Sarah whispered to her princes as the crowd erupted in deafening cheers. "For seeing me when I was invisible, for choosing me when I had nothing to offer." "You were never invisible to us," Prince William said, his silver eyes blazing with devotion. "From the moment you walked past, every cell in my body knew you were mine." "Ours," Prince Thaddeus corrected with a smile. "And we are yours, completely and eternally." Prince Corin pressed a kiss to her hand, his misty eyes soft for once. "Our queen, our heart, our everything." "For as long as the stars shine," Prince Lysander vowed, "and long after they fade to darkness," Prince Gavril finished. The soul bond pulsed between them, stronger than ever, binding them together in a way that transcended words or promises. 5 princes and 1 queen, chosen by fate, bound by magic, united by love that would last for all eternity. Sarah looked out over her united kingdom, her hand in William's, surrounded by the males who had fought for her, who had claimed her, who had seen her true worth when the world tried to deny it. She had walked past them in silence, in chains, in shame, and they had looked at her and seen a queen. The coronation celebration lasted for days, with nobles from all 6 kingdoms swearing their fealty to the new queen and her 5 consort princes. But Sarah's favorite moment came late on the 3rd night, when she finally escaped the crowds and found her way to the royal gardens. The 5 princes found her there within minutes, drawn by the bond as surely as the tide follows the moon. "Trying to escape us already, my queen?" Prince Gavril asked, his dark eyes gleaming with amusement. "Never," Sarah said, smiling as they arranged themselves around her on the marble bench beneath the star-blooming trees. "I just needed a moment to let it all sink in. A month ago, I was worried about whether I had enough thread to finish Lady Cordelia's hem. Now I'm responsible for 6 kingdoms and bonded to 5 princes. It's a lot to process." "We have eternity for you to process it," Prince Lysander said gently. "There is no rush, no expectation that you must transform overnight." "I know, and I'm glad. But I also feel ready somehow. Like this was always supposed to happen, and I was just waiting for the right moment." "The bond has a way of making destiny feel inevitable in hindsight," Prince Corin said. "We were all living our separate lives, never knowing that we were incomplete. And then you walked past, and everything clicked into place." Sarah leaned against Prince William's shoulder, feeling the steady beat of his heart through the bond. Prince Thaddeus took her hand while the others settled close, creating a cocoon of warmth and safety that made her feel invincible. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if Lady Selendriel had succeeded?" she asked. "If I had been exiled to the mortal realm before the bond could form?" "We would have torn the realms apart searching for you," Prince William said flatly. "Soul bonds are not suggestions. They are absolutes. We would have found you, even if it took centuries." "The moment I felt that pull, I knew my life had changed irrevocably," Prince Thaddeus added. "Nothing could have kept me from you. Not exile, not death, not the end of the world itself." The certainty in their voices, in their souls through the bond, made Sarah's heart swell. She had spent so long being overlooked, invisible, dismissed, and now she was the center of 6 kingdoms and 5 eternal loves. "What do you think the future holds for us?" she asked. "Now that the kingdoms are united, now that the prophecy is fulfilled." "Whatever we make of it," Prince Lysander said. "The prophecy brought us together, but what we build from here is up to us." "I want to make the realms better than they were," Sarah said, sitting up straighter. "I want to end the class divisions that kept people like my mother trapped in poverty and fear. I want to ensure that no one else grows up ashamed of their heritage or afraid to claim their birthright." "Then that is what we will do," Prince William said. "Your will is our purpose. Your dreams are our mission. And if anyone tries to stop you, they will answer to us," Prince Gavril added, storm magic crackling softly around his fingers in emphasis. Sarah laughed, the sound bright and free in the moonlit garden. She had never laughed like that when she was a servant. She had never felt this light, this powerful, this loved. "Then let's build something worthy of this bond," she said. "Something that will last as long as we do. A realm where power and compassion coexist, where magic and mortality both have value, where no one is dismissed or degraded because of their birth." "An oath worth keeping," Prince Corin said, and one by one, the princes placed their hands over their heart marks, the ancient gesture of binding promise. "I swear it," they said in unison. And Sarah felt the bond surge with renewed purpose, the connection between them deepening from mere magic into something greater. They were not just lovers or rulers or soulmates. They were partners in the truest sense, united by fate, but choosing each other every day, in every moment. The stars above them blazed brighter, as if the universe itself approved of their vow. Sarah of House Moonshadow, who had walked past 5 elven princes in chains and silence, who had been accused and threatened and nearly exiled, who had discovered she was queen and heir and bearer of an impossible bond, smiled up at the heavens. She had found her place. She had found her purpose. She had found her loves. And she would spend eternity making sure that no one else ever had to walk in silence, unseen and unvalued ever again. The 5 guardians would make certain of that, together. What do you think about the story? Let me know your comments. I would appreciate each of your thoughts. Also, comment which state you're watching from so I can give you a shout out on the next videos. Don't forget to subscribe so you can stay updated on our next uploads. Thanks for watching!